Well, hey there, everyone. This is Seth once again, flying solo. As Ray is taking a bit of a leave of absence to handle some business and to, you know, kick some ass. So, um, 2 weeks ago, I did a video about werewolves, kind of a broad subject of it. Um, got some new people in who seem to enjoy it. Last week, I decided on a whim I was going to rank the Rob Zombie films, and the subject kind of kept going back to werewolves, and some of the people who were watching and commenting suggested I do another werewolf show. So here I am. I wanted to talk tonight about some sort of lesser known werewolf films that kind of fly under the radar, films that I think are decent or at least worth a watch. None of them are perfect, of course. Um, and just sort of talk about them because, you know, there are certain werewolf films that are talked about often. You got stuff that's very well known, like The Wolfman, American Werewolf in London, The Howlin', uh, Dog Soldiers, Ginger Snaps, Silver Bullet. Then you have some that are uh, not talked about quite as much, but are fairly well known. Stuff like Wolf with Jack Nicholson or Bad Moon, stuff like that. So, yeah, I'm just going to kind of just randomly talk about some films that don't get brought up too often, probably for a good reason. These are films that I personally kind of dig. They do have flaws. There's a reason why none of these films are kind of ever really listed as someone's like favorite. But yeah, so I figured I'd do that tonight, and the people who suggested this last week better show up. So anyway, how's everyone doing tonight? Um, Hope all is well with everyone, and yeah, uh, get to some comments here. Before I go any further, if you're watching this on YouTube, hit the thumbs up button or the thumbs down button. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Share if you want. Leave a comment of what are some of your favorite werewolf films? What are some of the werewolf films that maybe you don't think other people have seen that they should? And yeah, you could do that. And if you're watching on Facebook, you can hit the thumbs up button. You could hit the heart emoji. You could hit the laugh emoji. You could hit the care emoji, the angry face emoji, and leave a comment. And same deal. Let me know if there's any werewolf films out there that you don't feel that are talked about that should be talked about, or what are some of maybe your guilty pleasure werewolf films? That'd be kind of interesting too. So before I get started on some of the films I'm going to talk about, I'm just going to kind of go through some of the comments here, starting with Sean Sheridan, as Ray says, our friend from across the pond, who always is the first person on YouTube to comment anytime we go live, which is cool. Thank you, Sean. We appreciate your your loyalty to us because you're pretty much there for like every show, so that's awesome, and we thank you for that. So Sean says, and the Werewolf Syndicate is, as I prefer the name, underrated. Yes, well, until some of my co-hosts come back, I mean, I may just have to just take over the horse and again make everything about werewolves. I don't think Ray would appreciate that very much. um, uh, Werewolf movies, please don't say Miracle in Paris is one of those rare movies. Yeah, like American Werewolf in Paris is definitely like a well-known one, for good or for bad. You know, if you saw our show that we did on it last December, I find it to be a guilty pleasure. I think it's actually kind of funny, and so it's got some fun moments, just like really bad CGI, and like they took all the worst lessons from American Werewolf in London. So No, American Werewolf in Paris is not going to be on tonight's list, but it's like one of those movies where I personally have fun with that, even though I completely understand why people hate it. So, sorry, Keypad is a bitch. Anyway, I give that movie 0 out of 5. Wolf with Jack Nicholson. That's the only one that springs to mind as underrated, maybe for me. Yeah, I like Wolf quite a bit. I've seen like over the last like couple years, like people kind of like shitting on it. I don't fully understand it. I know it's like a little bit like slower paced. It's a little bit more. It's very story and character driven, and it involves a man having a rough patch in his life who just happens to turn into a werewolf, and then he gets to bang Michelle Pfeiffer. So, um, um, I think it's a good movie. Like I grew up on that movie, like not grew up on it, but like when it came out in the '90s, I mean I watched it a lot, and I still do. I have the Blu-ray of it. I think it's a good movie. I don't remember exactly where I placed it on my list, my 108 ranking list of all werewolf movies, but is that is a movie I do enjoy. Um, that I could say is actually underrated. Ray, the Godfather, thank the maker. Says thanks for filling in and leading the show. I appreciate it, my dear friend. Anytime, man. Hope things are going well with you, man. Looking forward to you coming back. And until then, this is a hostile takeover, and I'm just gonna turn this into the Werewolf Syndicate. So you might want to get back before I do that. Just kidding. Or am I? Do W? I know your keyboard's being a bitch. Sorry, do a werewolf movie a week. We never need way back. Oh, come on. I know you're joking. Ray may not know that, but uh loyal. I watch Hellraiser for you. That is loyalty, and we appreciate that. Um, I know that you say you didn't like a lot of them, but I think you're a secret fan. I think you're a secret fan. But hey, at least by getting you to watch them, I've kind of helped co-create a new Hellraiser Inferno fan, right? So, because I remember you like that one, if I remember correctly. You may want to coin that name, Werewolf Syndicate. Make a comic. Oh, I would love to do that. That'd be kind of fun to do. I mean, I have like a bunch of different like werewolf stories. Like, there's like my baby story, the one that I like created like back when I was like 18, that I've written as a full length screenplay, rewrote, and then I started going back and forth on the format of either doing it as a screenplay or as a novel or as a comic. And then I just kept expanding on the idea, and like, and now I just got so many stories in my mind. Like I really need to actually get back to fucking writing. Um, but yeah, I have. I think I have a pretty decent story where the Werewolf Syndicate would be appropriate. I do joke, what's this show without Ray? I liked some, hate some. Yeah, uh, yeah. I'm sure he knew you were joking. But yeah, when Ray is done kicking the ass of criminals in Gotham while dressed as a bat, he will be back. I enjoy his takes. The fact he is only person on Earth who does not like the Dark Knight. Yeah, yeah. I was actually surprised to hear that too. Like the first time he told me that. But I understand his reasons why. I mean, he's huge Batman fan, and I can understand certain things of his complaints. Um, Okay, well, that's the last of the comments. Haven't seen anyone else here tonight who stopped by last week and suggested I do more werewolf content. Where are you guys? Come on. Well, anyway, so getting back to the show. The topic at hand, in case you missed it when I first started, is that I want to talk about some of the werewolf films that no one really talks about, sort of the under the radar werewolf films, because we all know the big names, um, and for good reason. And likewise, for good reason, these that I'm going to talk about will probably never make anyone's like top five. I don't think. I mean, I know every list is subjective. I know everyone has different opinions, but these are, they do have flaws with them. I'm not going to deny that at all. Um, so, um, where do I begin? All right. Well, I'm going to talk about this one first. Big Bad Wolf. This is a film from I think 2006. It's got Richard Tyson, from Kindergarten Cop, uh, Trevor Duke, Kimberly J. Brown, Christopher Shire, and Sarah Aldrich. And it's actually got a cameo from David Naughton in it as well. So Big Bad Wolf is a movie that when I first watched it, the opening was rough for me because you have like this like group of college age kids. Uh, there's like six total. They're going to like this one kid's cabin or his stepdad's cabin, and four of the six are just completely douchebag, obnoxious people, and it was really hard to kind of get into it. Um, but then the first werewolf attack happens, and then it no longer becomes the film that I thought it was going to be. Um, and I thought it got better after that. So yeah, so the main character, his father was killed um, during a hunting expedition early on, and uh, uh, basically he lives now with his mother and his new stepfather, who he used to know was dead. And as he steals the key to his stepdad's cabin and brings these other kids along with him there because he's trying to impress them. Um, a werewolf shows up, and now this isn't just any normal werewolf. This is a werewolf that talks. This is a werewolf that has personality. He's very sadistic. It's kind of like Freddy in a way, where he like really taunts his victims, and a bloodbath ensues. And I could see where certain people are uncomfortable with certain sexual situations that happen in this movie. That's totally understandable, but I think overall it's a fun movie. It's nothing great. It's got a lot of flaws with acting and writing, especially some direction, but I really like Richard Tyson's performance in this. He was the bad guy in Kindergarten Cop. Um, he's been in other stuff too, and that's the only one I can think of off the top of my head. And yeah, and so I think it's fun. It's worth a watch. And again, like not again because I never said this before, but if you go to check out any of those movies that I'm talking about tonight, and you put it on and you find that you don't like it or you can't finish it, um, at least you gave it a try. Um, I don't want anyone to take my word on this. Again, these are all my personal subjective opinions. Um, so you don't have to take my word like you need to watch this or this is amazing. Like I'm not gonna lie, some of these films I'm gonna talk about are not amazing. They are very flawed. Big Bad Wolf is one of them, but I do enjoy this one quite a bit. And yeah, so I thought it would be one worth kind of mentioning. Um, I'll check some comments before I move on. So the Godfather, Ray says, make it a group that hunts werewolves at the turn of the century, 1900. I've been working on a vampire story based on then. Yeah, I'll have to talk to you about some of my ideas. Scott Walker, I reckon the three greatest werewolf movies of all time is The Wolfman, Ginger Snaps, and American Wolf in London. In my honest opinion, they're the greatest movies ever made. Yes, exactly. And those are the ones that are often talked about. I mean, we could throw other titles out there. I mentioned in the beginning, sort of besides those, you got The Howling, Silver Bullet, Dog Soldiers, stuff like Bad Moon. Um, so there's a lot of those are definitely the best. Excuse me. Tonight's topic is more about the ones um, that aren't considered the best, that are, I think, worth a watch. So, if you haven't seen any of these I'm talking about, give them a try. And if you like them, great. If you didn't, hey, at least you give them a shot. I dig this setup where these Howlin' releases 5 and 6. Yeah, so basically what I did was I just uh, normally I was set up over by my router um, for when I was trying to do this on my computer, but with my phone, I'm like, well, I don't really need to do that. So I just kind of push everything back, closer to my Blu-ray collection. These are I had these in the wrong order. Um, the Howlin' 4 and the Howlin' 5. These are the German Blu-ray releases, and because I got a region-free player, so I was able to order these. They were a little expensive, but I got them, and I have to say, man, they fucking look beautiful. Like my DVD quality, it was like, uh, you know, flat. It was like boxed in and very grainy. These fit my entire 70-inch TV. They're very clear images. The sound is really good. So yeah, these are just awesome to have. Because I got sick of waiting because Scream Factory put out 1, 2, and 3 on Blu-ray, and I was kind of hoping that they would do the rest, but they never did. So, um, and it doesn't look like they're going to, which is a shame because the Howlin' 5 is my favorite sequel in that franchise, and I have a soft spot for Part 4 too because of how close it is to the first book. Um, but because I got a region-free player, um, I was like, I found these like on like eBay, and I was like, I can't pass up on them. So I got them, and I just decided that for tonight I was gonna set them up right here. I also have right here my copy of Werewolf the series from the '80s. It's a bootleg, but very good quality. The guy that did this is awesome. Um, so yeah, but thank you. I'm probably gonna do it from this spot from now on. When you come back, I will be right here. Scott Walker says, "Why do you think the werewolf in Ginger Snaps, the Ginger Wolf? Why do you think she is albino werewolf? Why couldn't they choose another color?" I'm not sure. Not sure. Just a creative decision, I guess, from the director and the effects team. I think the werewolf looks weird in Ginger Snaps. Really, I mean, I like Ginger Snaps. I think it's a great movie, but the werewolf looks weird in it. Sean Sheridan says, Ginger Snaps, thank you. I knew I was missing one. Love that movie. Yeah, Ginger Snaps is a great movie. It is. Actually, I really like part two as well. I think part two is really, really cool. And then part three is like, it's not awful, but like, I don't understand the reason why they made that one. Um, Especially given the way that part two ends. I just felt like, because I mean they shot them back to back, and it's like you knew how you're going to end part two, so why didn't you just kind of like try to go from there? But because I feel like there's stuff that they could have done, but for some reason they decided to do Ginger Snaps Back, which is again not a terrible film, but it's odd in that saga in that trilogy. But yeah, I like Ginger Snaps, the first one, a lot. Showed it to the kids like a year or two ago, I think. The werewolf howl in Ginger Snaps, how come it's so deep and sounds more like a husky or a Alaskan Malamute? All they made it a lot more deeper. Yeah, just the choice of the sound design from the crew, I guess. I actually kind of like it. It's not as good as the howl from American Wolf in London, or the even the growling from American Wolf in London. I think that's got like the most terrifying. But I think the one in Ginger Steps is fairly decent too. It's just like with any film, it's just a matter of like what um, what sources they use for the sound mix to create that. Like if you look at some like the behind the scenes of American Wolf in London and how they created the howl for that, it's pretty fascinating. Our friend, is it Jorhan? Can you I don't want to like butcher your name, buddy. Uh, if I'm saying it wrong, please find a way to correct me. Okay. It says Big Bad Wolf was amazing, very underrated. Not sure how many people even know about that film. Comparing the werewolf to Freddy is a fair assessment. Yeah, that's what I actually liked about it though, is because if it was just a sort of like a traditional werewolf, I don't know if it would have had an impact on me. I like the fact that it was like even though it's weird to say, the fact that it was like a talking werewolf and it was like very sadistic and it had a personality and it was like taunting these kids, and I think that's what made it actually really cool for me. So yeah, definitely, I am with you on that, man. My friend also says love Howlin' 5 and 6. Yeah, I do too. 6 is really good too. It's I think 5 and 6 are kind of underrated in that series. Like I can understand why people don't like part 4, because the quality is really bad, especially the acting. But 5 and 6, I think they're a lot of fun, and I just feel like at that point the series was already tainted. Um, so it's a shame, but like I'm a Howlin' sequel apologist, and I do watch that series a lot. I will not apologize for part 7 though. New Moon line dancing. That was fucking terrible. Sean Sheridan says, I own Dog Soldiers, Howlin', Silver Bullet, American Wolf in London. The big hitters. Never heard of Bad Moon and the Wolfman. You never heard of the Wolfman? You're not being serious. Sean, you're not being serious. You can't be. Uh, are you serious about Bad Moon as well? Because I think Bad Moon is really good too. That's a movie where like the dog is pretty much like the lead character, and it's worth watching if you haven't seen it. If you're being serious about never seeing Bad Moon, I don't believe you about the Wolfman. I just don't believe you. Jorhan, please correct me. Says Halloween 5: The Rebirth is my favorite Halloween sequel too. The Timeless Media Blu-ray is lacking. I think the Artisan DVD looks better. The Timeless Media Blu-ray. Yeah, I don't have that. I got the DVD that has like the 5 and 6 combo on it, and then of course I got these. If you get a region free player, man, these German ones, man, they're so worth it. The quality is awesome in them. Heard of the Wolfman, not Batman. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Um, you may have heard of the Wolfman on the show plenty of times, especially the 2010 remake, the unrated director's cut, especially, is so fucking underrated. I cannot stress that enough. Um, But yeah, Bad Moon is worth checking out as well. It's got a cool looking werewolf in it. I think it's got a fairly unique story. You know, it's um, this man who he gets attacked by a werewolf in the beginning of the film, and he's essentially he becomes a werewolf, and he's he goes back home, and he brings his camper to stay at his sister's house, and she's a single mother, and of course there's a dog named Thor, and the dog is suspicious of this man, knowing that he's a werewolf, and it's pretty neat. It's got a pretty neat like little like it's got a lot of like back and forth between uh, the man who's the werewolf and the dog, and I think it's really cool. There's a bad transformation effect in the end, but um, the funny thing is I got this Blu-ray from Scream Factory of Bad Moon, where it has a director's cut, and the only difference is they took out that one portion of the transformation that looks terrible, and it actually makes it a better movie. So I definitely recommend Bad Moon. Ginger as a werewolf looks like Karen in the Howlin', a little different for the rest for the main character. Yeah, yeah, I could see that because of like the light colored hair. Bad Moon is also great. Something different, even with the dog as a star, it was a winner. Practical effects for the win. Yeah, the practical looking werewolf is awesome in that. Definitely one of my favorite werewolf designs. Because I like the werewolves that stand up. I'm not really, even though American Wolf in London is my favorite horror film and it's my favorite werewolf film of all time, I prefer the werewolves that stand. Um, and then also like not just in the like Wolfman type of way where it's like a hybrid, but like the fact that it stands, but it's also got a very like monstrous wolf-like head. It's just really cool design. Which werewolf hell do you find the scariest? American Werewolf in London, Howl, or Ginger Snaps Howl? American Werewolf in London, by far, by far. I may be a little biased though, because that's like my favorite horror film of all time. Um, I mean to say I own Wolfman. Uh, the original or the remake, or both. The original is a classic. It's my favorite Universal monster film. Meredith says Ginger Snaps is one of my favorite werewolf films. The female perspective is awesome. Yeah, yeah, that's what makes that film kind of unique too. Is kind of like how it kind of ties into um, thematically how it ties into uh, the the female experience. Uh, yeah, nothing I can comment on, but yeah, and Ginger Snaps. Um, it's got really good characters. I love the dynamic between Ginger and Bridget, and the mother. I thought was quirky and fun, and yeah, it's a good movie. Great score too. I absolutely love the score for Ginger Snaps. Um, to me, it feels kind of iconic, even though uh, it's never really talked about, especially when that film was brought up. But the score for Ginger Snaps, I think, is just it's so freaking good. Sean says Universal Monsters, of course, head of them all. Yeah. On Tubi, Bad Moon. What's not on Tubi? Yeah, right. Tubi actually has a shitload of werewolf movies. Like, if you go to their like, if you go to the search bar and you type in werewolf movies, it comes up with a whole list. There's a lot that I still gotta see, but that's a good way to do it. Um, Let's go to the search bar. I don't use Tubi that much because I hate ads. And then he goes on to say original Wolfman. Yeah, that's the reason why I don't go to Tubi too often. Um, I do it from time to time, but like uh, having the ads kind of frequently happen while I'm trying to watch. Like, it's a weird complaint too because like of the time period I grew up on and seeing like a lot of movies like on TV where there's commercials playing in between them, and it never bothered me as a kid, but like now as a as an adult, it kind of drives me nuts. So I get that. Scott says, I've been the most aggressive werewolf I've ever seen in the werewolf franchise is Ginger Snaps Werewolf and American Werewolf in London. Which one do you think is more aggressive? Um, it's tough to say. Um, I I'm sorry, I'm just biased. I'm gonna go with American Wolf in London, but I think the one in Ginger Snaps is very aggressive too. Uh, I love that scene. I'm trying to remember the scene because it's been a little bit since I've seen it, but I'm pretty sure it was like Bridget and the guy who had the van. Like he's all wounded and like they're in like this one room like towards the end, and then he just gets yanked out. Um, I thought that was really cool. Meredith says the puberty wolf change dynamic is very cool. Yes, definitely. And it, this is a movie that like I showed my daughters like not too long after they started experiencing that stuff. So I think they related to it. Meredith answers and says Ginger definitely more aggressive. Fair enough. Fair enough. Sean says all my subscriptions are ad-free Tubi with the selection is the one ad streaming service I would use from time to time. Yeah. Sean says I will watch Bad Moon. Cool. I think there's a good chance that you like it. Again, there's a chance that you may not like it. I mean, you don't just take my word on it. Uh, I tricked you with the Hellraiser sequels. No, this is nowhere near as bad as those per se. I think there's a lot of positive stuff in Bad Moon. I'd be very surprised if you didn't like it. Scott says, I think female werewolves are more aggressive werewolves and the males, don't you think? Um, I mean, you could say that again. The werewolves in Ginger Snap, or the werewolf in Ginger Snaps is Ginger herself is aggressive, and then if you look at like characters from the Halloween sequels, Marsha from Part One, very aggressive and assertive. Sturba from Part Two, very powerful. Um, yeah, I think there's a lot of and like there's a lot of like most werewolf stories are centered on males, but it's a lot of them are just males who don't want to be the werewolf, and uh, they can be fairly aggressive too. I don't know. It's tough to say. I don't know. I I mean, let's put it this way: werewolves in of themselves are aggressive creatures, right? Or at least they should be. That's why I don't really like PG-13 bullshit when it comes to werewolves, because werewolves are supposed to be savage, aggressive, and fucking terrifying. And werewolf films work the best when they do that. That's another reason why I like a lot of modern werewolf films. I don't like as much because they kind of try to be too jokey with the subject, and it just does not work for me. Sean says I have to use VPN being across the pond, but Tubi always works. Yeah, that's cool. Scream Factory has been largely re-releasing titles they already have on 4K over new titles. That's good, but it would be nice to see more new old titles. I love Howlin' 4 through 6 on Blu-ray from Scream Factory, and I want them to at least throw in Howlin' 7 as a bonus feature. I know it's awful, but just to finish it off, yeah. I mean, I if Scream Factory does the Howlin' 4 through 8, I'm gonna buy all of them to have in my collection to complete my collection. Um, the Howlin' 7 is like a movie that's like I could throw it on from time to time if I get really shit faced. It's that fucking movie is not good at all. Um, but hey, at least they tried to connect some of the pieces together from all the sequels. So there's that. Lee Winnell's Wolfman, that should be good. Yes, I'm looking forward to that. I can't have chess here, B. That's fucked. Yeah, some good lines. All right, cool. So now I'm temporarily caught up on all the comments. I'm going to move on to the next one. Ooh, this one is really cheesy from the 90s. I believe it was like made for TV, but it's called Project Metalbeast. It stars Kim Delaney, Barry Bostwick, Lucetta Vander, and Kane Hodder as the werewolf. So look, super cheesy film, but I have a lot of fun with it. So basically, it starts off with some soldiers on a secret mission, and I want to say Romania. Uh, they encounter a werewolf there, but that's what they're there for. The idea is that they are going there to get a sample of werewolf blood. So a couple soldiers die or whatever. One soldier, uh, he's pretty much the lead antagonist in this film. He gets the blood and brings it back to the United States, where there's this research facility going on. Uh, and this unit is led by Barry Bostwick, and the soldier is a little overzealous. And after some sort of confrontation, I don't quite remember, he takes the blood for himself and he injects himself with it, and he becomes a werewolf. He uh, starts attacking around the lab, and he eventually gets shot multiple times. And then Barry Bostwick's character puts him in uh, cryostasis, and then years later, um, while the scientific team are working on some sort of experiment involving uh, like skin grafting, but with like metal or whatever. Um, uh, Barry Bostwick decides to use him as the guinea pig. Use the soldier that he froze up, and yeah, and then he escapes, and of course, so it's a werewolf who has a lot of like cybernetic stuff all over him. And it also makes him hard to kill. So silver bullets don't work on him because of uh, his exterior flesh now being changed. It's really cheesy, but I think it's a lot of fun. I think the werewolf looks really cool. I think Kane Hodder plays the werewolf very well. Um, Again, cheesy, but I think it's kind of like a fun watch. Um, you know, just know that it is, not the best quality of film, but I think it's got some good stuff going for it. As far as entertainment, so there's Project Metalbeast. Not a film that gets talked about a lot. I did write a review for it, I believe, for the horrorsyndicate.com. When it was fresh in my mind, so because I know that like, I'm missing details and I may have messed up on some stuff. So go check out that article on thehorrorsyndicate.com where I ranked it. Before I get back to comments, I just want to just kind of move on to one more. This is a film called Werewolf: The Beast Among Us. This one came out in, I believe, 2012. I think it was originally supposed to have some sort of association with the Wolfman remake from 2010, but after that film bombed, they were like, nah. But there are some things in it that will, there's a gypsy character who recites the, the even a man who's pure in heart phrase, and then there's a particular line of dialogue from the 2010 remake of the Wolfman that's also in this. But this is a direct-to-video movie. It stars Ed Quinn, Stephen Ray, and Stephen Bauer, among other people. So it's got a pretty big cast, but basically there's this European village. This is it's a time it's a period piece. There's a European village that is constantly getting ravaged by a werewolf, even outside of the full moon, which seems to be a rare thing. And so this group of werewolf hunters, they find it to be odd, and they go to the place to take the bounty to catch this special werewolf. And this kid who works with the village doctor, played by Stephen Ray, is eager to join up with the group of hunters. As they try to catch the werewolf and figure out the identity of the werewolf, that's about as far as I'll say about like what the story is. I think this is a pretty fun direct-to-video movie. It feels direct-to-video, especially the opening title cards. Like they're very poor, but in the werewolf they do use a lot of CGI, and it doesn't look as good as it should have. In the ending, so there's like this rivalry that happens between this kid who's the main character and one of the hunters throughout the entire runtime, but it never seemed like that serious. And then all of a sudden, like in the third act, it just takes like this crazy turn, and there's like this twist involving this particular hunter. Um, it kind of felt out of place. I mean, it's a little cool with what they do, but it feels like sort of like forced. So that's not so great. But I think overall, the film is. I think the film is worth a watch. I think there's some really good stuff in it. At the very least, good set pieces, and some decent ideas in it. So, Werewolf: The Beast Among Us. Check out the unrated. I don't really remember the rated version. I don't really. I just imagine they just take away some of the gore. So there's that. I'll get back to some of the comments now. You know why ice raking female wolves are more aggressive than males? Take ginger snaps. Through example, she was very aggressive. Well, if you ask me, that's why I think females are. Yeah, I understand, man. I understand your point. is must be correcting himself. The Howlin' Seven is on YouTube. Yeah, that's how I watched it. Uh, Originally, I had to watch in like different parts, and I drank a lot. Uh, Last time I checked, if anyone's really bored, yeah, I think last time I checked too, I could watch it through Amazon Prime. Uh, like so, Scream Factory slash Shout Factory, they have it available to watch through streaming, but they didn't do a physical media. I don't get it. I don't think I have ever seen you not give a Werewolf movie a bad review. Good review. I mean, there's quite a few. I mean, I've watched a lot of shit because like horror films are ones that I take chances on because you never know. You never know what you're gonna find a gem. Um, and unfortunately, a lot of them are shit, especially like newer ones. I watched the one I can't remember from the year it came out. It was called The Werewolf in England, and it was okay up to a certain point, but then it just there's like this gag that happens that overstays its welcome a lot. I mean, I didn't even like it to begin with, and then they just kept doing it over and over, and where a werewolf literally squats and shits on a person, and it's just yeah, terrible movie. So, what do you think of the werewolves from Being Human, U.S. version and the U.K. version? Yeah, so I'm a huge fan of Being Human from the UK. Um, the the uh, the 5 seasons, I love them. I actually rewatched all of them a few months ago, right before I did this article for thehorseagain.com where I ranked all the seasons. Um, I think the werewolves look cool. I think they had cool mythology. They just didn't really utilize them as much as I wish they did. Uh, it felt like there was a couple moments where they were gonna do like some badass stuff with them, and they didn't. But yeah, I love Being Human. The UK version, the US version. I started it last year. I never finished the first season. I did like what I saw, but like it was like one of those things where it was like right after I marathoned all 5 seasons of the UK version, and so like I had like kind of like trouble connecting with the US version. So I feel like when I have a lot more space in between, I'm going to get back to the US version. I've heard mixed things on the US version, but and from what I've seen, I still prefer the UK version because I think the UK version they're a lot more intense, they're a lot more gritty, and yeah, there's just I think there's a little bit more weight to the UK version, but yeah. Which werewolves do you like better, black fur werewolves or white werewolves? Um, I kind of like both. I do like both. Um, Black fur, brown fur, those look really good in a lot of movies. But then there's stuff like uh, William in the beginning of Underworld Evolution. Um, Great werewolf design and really great look in all white fur. And then I believe the one in Bad Moon has all white or all gray fur, and it looks really cool. So I don't know what I prefer over the other. I actually kind of like them both. Yeah, and I always felt like it. And this doesn't pertain to all of them, but like it just makes sense for me. Like if the fur matched the character's actual hair color, personally. Scott says, "What do you think of Alvin and the Chipmunks Meet the Wolfman? Larry Talbot is the villain in this movie. Check it out when you get a chance." Okay, I will check it out. I have not seen that. Ginger Snaps probably was the last great one, unless I'm missing one. The last great werewolf movie? Now I think if there's Howl, which had Sean Pertwee in it. It takes place on a train. That was really good. Late phases. I don't recall if you were present for our late phases show or if you even seen it, but late phases is to me it's incredible. It made my top five of werewolf films. There's been a few good ones, but there's been some stinkers as well. Um, but I hope I like Bad Moon. Not a Silver Bullet fan. Gary Busey is a little too Busey in that movie, too off-putting for me. Yeah, I can see that. Like Silver Bullet was a movie that I grew up on, like literally because like my parents had the VHS tape, and I would watch it all the time. And yeah, and of course I love Gary Busey, like his early films. Like I love Silver Bullet, Lethal Weapon, Surviving the Game. Um, he's just really good as I don't know. He's just there's something about him that I liked ever since I was a kid. So like Silver Bullet for me has sort of like a nostalgia factor. Um, but yeah, fur matching character makes sense. I don't discriminate against werewolves based on fur color. What would that be? Lycanphobic? Fur phobic? Yeah. Yeah, I don't either. I mean, I think the only one that I can kind of complain about, because I think it looked a little weird, was Karen at the end of the Howling. There's something about the blonde werewolf that is a little off-putting to me. Maybe it was just like the design of the face. I don't know. Howl in late phases are Ace. Late phases is like Gran Torino, but with werewolves. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I love Nick Dimici's performance in that. I love his character. He's got personality. Um, he's a grumpy old man who wants to get revenge on a werewolf for killing his dog. It's great. Professor Lupin and Harry Potter. That's a good werewolf transformation. So I'm gonna level with you. I've seen the Harry Potter films. Um, never really been a huge fan of them. Like my family is. My fiance loves them. My two kids love them. My ex-wife loved them. Um, I knew so many people who loved Harry Potter films, and of course, I've seen them. Um, I remember liking the third film, but I don't remember it too well. So yeah, but you do have a point, I suppose. All right, and probably talking about maybe one or two more, and then I'm gonna bounce because I've been on for almost an hour. The next one I wanted to bring up is I'm just gonna call it Where, but it's WER. This one I thought was really cool. Um, I don't like I kind of feel like it's lazy just to have someone be a werewolf and just it's like a normal looking person with just some extra hair and long fingernails. I don't really dig that, but I think this is kind of cool movie, cool story. I believe it's set in France. So there's a American family. It starts off with an American family. They're camping and they get attacked, and the kid and the father both die horribly. The mother is badly disfigured and wounded. She eventually passes away from her wounds, and there's a American lawyer who comes in after uh, this one man is found to be responsible by the police, and she's there to defend him. and as she kind of goes to prove her case and prove the innocence of this person and a potential conspiracy against the police, against this person's family. Um, she orders some tests to be conducted, and during one of the tests, things go sideways, and then it just gets crazy from there. The film is weird with the way it's shot, almost like a found footage type film, even though it's a traditional story. So like the filmmaking style doesn't quite match the narrative, but I think it's really good. It's got some really good sequences of violence in it. I was invested in the story, and I it's I think it's definitely worth a watch. You'll be probably disappointed by the look of the werewolves, but yeah, where WER. I'm gonna say it's where, or we're gonna say it's were. Uh, yeah, I think it's. I definitely recommend this one. It's a little bit of a slow burn, so prepare yourself for that. So anyway, those are some of the films I wanted to talk about tonight. There's going to be others too. I'll probably have to like follow this up with a part two where I can talk more about some other stuff. I could talk about some of the Paul Nashy movies. That'd be kind of fun to do. Uh, let's see here. There's other films too that are definitely. I got my list here of all the 108 werewolf films that I've seen. Um, I can also talk about the werewolf, and I was a teenage werewolf from 1956 and 1957, I believe. I think those are really good. So yeah, I'll probably do a follow up to this and talk about some more underrated uh, uh, and underseen werewolf films. But in the meantime, uh, you know, if you want to give some of these a watch, if you haven't seen them, again, I think they all have flaws. All four of these films have flaws. I'm not going to deny that at all. But um, I think uh, I think they're entertaining enough, and maybe it's just I have low standards. I don't know. So I first talked about Big Bad Wolf, uh, fun movie with a very sadistic werewolf that talks. I can understand where some people might be put off with some of the more sexual aspects that happen in this. But I think this is a lot of fun. It's one that I go to. Um, I then talked about Project Metalbeast, a direct to video, I suppose, or maybe direct to TV film from the 90s that has Barry Bostwick, Kane Hodder, and Kim Delaney uh, about a science experiment where a werewolf gets some metal grafted to his flesh. Cheesy as hell, but kind of fun. I then talked about Werewolf: The Beast Among Us. Um, I think this is a cool film. Bad CGI, and the third act is weird with the way that a certain situation unfolds and happens. It kind of feels tacked on. But this one, I definitely recommend. I think it's got some fun moments. And then where we're whatever fuck you want to call it, um, interesting film with a decent story. Slow burn for sure, but pretty cool. So anyway, those were the four films to talk about tonight. I'm gonna catch up on comments, and then I am going to leave for the night. So let me get here. Sean says Gran Torino Werewolves. That sounds awesome. I never heard of Late Phases. Harry Potter. I'm a casual fan. Oh, you weren't around when I think It was Ray, Nate, and I that did a show on late phases. I'm surprised you weren't there for that one. Maybe it's because you didn't see it, but late phases is you. That's a must watch. Um, just for the performance of the main character alone. So yeah, check that one out for sure, Sean. J.K. Rowling, that's a terrifying transformation. Haha, we can close the Pandora's box I just opened. Love the Harry Potter cast. Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of stuff about her. And it's on Tubi too. Yep. Gotta cut this last minute. Yes, to part two of this. Love me some sequels. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Maybe I'll do it next week. If Ray doesn't come back, I'm doing a hostile takeover here at the Horror Syndicate, and I'm gonna change it to the Werewolf Syndicate. And so it's up to him to stop me. But yeah, if he doesn't come back next week, um, I probably will. I may follow this up with a part two to this next week, or I may um, move it to the week after because I do kind of want to like have a little bit of a balance. So maybe I'll do part two next week. Maybe I'll do something different just to kind of break it up. But I haven't decided yet. I'm a last minute guy, big procrastinator. So yeah. Werewolf Syndicate, we are rebranding. Ray can deal with it. That's right. Seth has great taste. Thank you. I appreciate that. Uh, Not everyone agrees with that, but I appreciate that. Thank you and good night. Well, thank you for stopping by and talking. Thank you also, Sean. Thank you to, hold on, kind of scrolling back through the comments here. Thank you to Scott Walker. And lastly, there was someone else. I just want to make sure that I get her name. And thank you to Meredith for watching. Definitely appreciate all of you stopping in and joining on the conversation. So yeah, this was pretty fun to do, and there's a lot more other werewolf content that I can definitely talk about. So anyway, thank you for everyone who watched. And again, if you're watching this on YouTube, do the thumbs up, do the thumbs down, leave a comment. Let us know what are some werewolf movies that you like that you may find to be underrated or under the radar. If you're watching on Facebook, hit the thumbs up, or you could hit the laugh emoji, or you could hit the heart emoji, or you could hit the care emoji, or you could hit the angry emoji. Share, leave a comment with the same deal. Let us know. So anyway, hope everyone has a good night, and remember that love lives today, but evil dies tonight.